So I'm going to do two projects, hopefully, in one video. And it's Pinus mugo, or mugo pine, but it's one of the named varieties called gnome, G-N-O-M. That means like a small, wise person. So it is grafted here, so you can see the graft, but the graft is pretty good. You can't see the transition between the graft. So the first thing we do when we work with pines is to take the needles off from the branches that we're going to wire and then leave the ends there. So all the branches which are potentially wireable, we will strip the needles. A lot of people are afraid of doing this, but don't be afraid. In fact, by stripping the needles, you will encourage bud back from these points. So it is perfectly okay to do it. So let me turn it around. And of course, while I'm playing around stripping the needles, at the back of my mind, I'm thinking all the time, what am I going to do with the tree? This is the difficult part. Thinking what the plan is one thing, but once you've thought out your plan, you've got to execute the plan. As I've always said, a lot of people think, but they don't act. So you need to do the two. Straight away, what goes through my mind, let me tell you what goes through my mind, because I think many of you will find it very useful to see how my thought process goes along. As it is, the trunk is nice and thick, and I bet you anything it's a very, very healthy tree. Let's take it out of the pot. Look at those roots. Very lovely roots and traces of mycelium as well. I always begin by taking some of the surface root to show the nebari. The way the roots go into the ground determine to quite a large extent the front and the back of the tree. I'm quite encouraged because quite a few other people who are doing YouTube videos are getting hold of material like this. So it's nice to see people trying different things and more teachers coming on to teach you how to do it. I don't mind in the slightest. So it's nice that they're spreading the message around. So here we are. I've got quite a nice spread of root there. So that will help determine which is the front, which is the back. And as we are now into autumn, it's quite okay to fiddle around with the roots. In fact, you can even begin to cut the roots, provided you can protect the tree in the winter. You notice that trees which are grown in pots have roots that go round and round. Look at these roots going round and round. You don't want that. You want the roots to be radial. So any roots that are not going radially or not growing radially, I will not hesitate to cut it off. Just maintain the radial roots. So that's quite a lump over there, which is nice. Makes it look like a thick buttress. Okay, by removing some of the soil, I find that there's a slight curve there. So that would help creating a nice line for the tree. The big problem, if you look at this tree closely, is what to do for the leader of the tree. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 major branches radiating from there. I may not need all of them. There are several options. I could wire the top and not do anything else. I could wire that, wire this, and then use some of these as the branches. Alternatively, I could put it as a slant, like so, and then use this as the leader, and then wire this. So I won't have to use this one. So you can see straight away that there are many options that you have. This is a useful branch. So let us see what we can do. My preference, although I can use this one, this can also work. You can see if it's bent this way. I will show you the different options. It's nice to be spoiled by having different options. Let Josh home in on the detail while I get a white plastic bag. So what I was meaning, this bag trick is very useful. So I could eliminate the top and then use that one to wire and get a very nice tree like that. That is one possibility. If I didn't want to, I can still wire this bit. It's so flexible. I can wire this and still get an interesting tree. So there are so many possibilities, But as I say, it's one thing to keep thinking and not acting. So let us do some acting or take some decisive action. So I'm going to take the middle out. I don't have to, but it is one of the options. So take that out and clean the center out. People who are not into bonsai will say, oh, what a waste. It's cut all that lovely growth off. I remember going to some of these growers who do contract growing for us. And when I go to buy trees, the trees are sold by the size, height. And on one occasion, I took my Felco secateurs with me and I started chopping the tops off. So he said, hey, what are you doing? You know, please know that we sell by height. By cutting it down from 3 feet to 2 feet, you won't be charged less. I charge the same amount. I said, I know that. I'm prepared to pay the full amount. So he thought I wanted it cheap because it's chopping the height down. Okay, so that gives me straight away a lovely line. So I could use that to create the line for the tree. Now, where do I start wiring? Now this trunk is so thick, no way can I ever bend that. So there's no point putting wire there. So to anchor the wire, I'd probably anchor it to one of these and then go up the trunk. I haven't decided which of these to use. I know that these little ones can come off because they may not be useful, although they can be used as a sacrificial. Okay, I can do these two together and then give a twist to the top. So what grade of wire to use? Let us see. I'm wiring like this because I want to make sure I don't waste wire, so I have just the right amount of wire to use. Okay. Keep the wire tight. When I do classes, I observe how people work, and many of them are afraid to put the wire on tight. If you don't put it on tight, the wire is not so effective. So don't be afraid to make it tight. Then see what I do with the leader there. Okay. And usually where you get a situation like that, there are already 4 branches and a new leader. I don't need all of that. I can take the leading shoot out from there and maintain it like that. Also 4 I don't need, I'll keep 3. And then I will decide what to do with the rest. Okay, so that's done. Now, how far shall I go with this? I can go all the way to the top. And then let's give it a twist. shin pliers are very useful. I think I need this for a while. Now again, this situation where I get 4 shoots and one, I think I need to take one of them out. So let's take the middle one out. Most people find the decision about cutting the shoots or the branches the most difficult thing when you're a beginner making bonsai. What to cut? But I always say that the more you practice, the more you will get used to the thought process. Now don't forget, this has to develop a lot yet. I will keep that for the time being. Now again, just to reinforce your learning, you see you've got these 3 shoots. I don't need all of them. I will take the center one out. Generally speaking, as long as you take the center one out, that will work. Then I'll wire these 2. Let's see what wire we'll use for that. I can make a little notch to facilitate the bending. A little V notch, like so. I don't need to split this branch because a branch splitter is not going to do much for the tree. Pines are not like junipers. When you work on a juniper, you can get almost an instant bonsai because the foliage and the branch structure is more recognizable when you come to making a bonsai. But with the pines, they look like bottle brushes, as I've always said, and to get that instant look of a bonsai is not as easy with a pine. So let's carry on doing this. Okay, that's going to be our back branch. If you use the correct gauge of wire, you can virtually do anything, as I say. And then the rest of these we can also wire. So this is only like a few minutes work. Can you imagine if you left it for a year when it produces new buds? It's now October. By May of next year, I will get lots of new buds. I will leave the dormant candles to develop. By the way, Nugo pines are always characterized by these sticky new candles. You see the sap is on the new candles. With other pines, you don't get it so much. With the Japanese white pine or the Scots pine, you don't see that effect. So let me just continue to wire some of these other branches. just have a balanced form. We're still looking to create an overall triangular shape. The triangle is the basis of all decent bonsai. So as long as the triangular shape is created, it will always look like a bonsai. So that is your aim in life when you're making bonsai. Don't worry if you're trapping the needles will drop. Now this needs to be wide, this needs to be wide. These pads I can wire flat. I must say plants are very obliging. They do virtually anything you want it to do. Just wiring those flat. This you can also wire flat. I'm keeping this as a sacrificial. You don't really need that. And these ones I will continue to wire as well. So this is sticking down. I need to make it flat like that. So let's put some wire to make it flat. You notice that I'm doing the 2-branch principle with 3 branches. So to execute the 2-branch principle, I've wired it twice on 1 branch. That's how I do 2-branch principle with 3 branches. So that is the tree after a few minutes work. That will be planted like this. I can put it back in this training pot or put it in a plastic training pot and let it develop. So there you go. It's such a simple process. That is what you do with these Mugo pines. So the only bits I cut off was that and that. I could have wired this if I wanted to, but I decided not to because this would give me a better taper. The thinner branch would give me a better taper. So that is that one. So that was a simple one. Now let's go to a more complicated one. Now this is called the Picea nidiformis, and I think the variety is called Little Gem. And again, you see, I thought only pines had mycelium, but this Picea has mycelium as well. All that white stuff is mycelium. And because these are grafted trees, you look at that thick, chunky trunk there. Such a thick trunk. Whenever you go to garden centers to buy or select potential material, always select material that has a lot of branches. Because the more branches you have, the more options you will have for choosing the branches, which you choose, which you discard. So if you didn't have a lot of choice of the branches, then you're stuck. That is quite logical and really common sense. Now what am I doing here? I'm just teasing away so that I can get to the base of the trunk. Sorry about the noise. Some people don't like the noise. There's quite a lot of trunk below there. Many people neglect doing this part of the process when they come to making bonsai. But discovering the root, as I said, is important because it determines the front and back of the tree, and also it gives more height to the tree. Already I've discovered at least 1.5 inch depth below the potted surface. And I dare say there will be more trunk if I go a bit lower. And you must be wondering why I'm cutting the root. As I said, because we are now into autumn, it's quite safe to do this. And these grafted trees, the root stock is so strong that no harm or danger will come to the tree because they are very robust trees. When you come up against a thick root, that's the time to stop. See, can you see that thick root there? That is going to be the proper surface root. So that is where I'm going to stop. Keep teasing away. I always like to encourage people by telling them and reminding them that bonsai is not rocket science, not magic either. Such beautifully grown trees that the roots are so vigorous. I have a job to get into the base. I think I've got there. You notice what I did? I just cut it off with the secateurs. I didn't bother to tease it. It's quite acceptable. Now this root seems to be a bit of a problem because it's coming straight out at us and it's a bit elevated. Can you see how it's stuck proud like that? So let me get rid of that. I have enough root. I don't know what they use as the understock, maybe another picea. Look at that beautiful root base there. Look at that beautiful root base. And now the big decision is, what do I use as the leader? You can see how it is very congested, extremely congested. And there is this shoot which appears to be the leader. As I say, appears to be. It may not end up as the leader. And you see how there's a thick part here and going up to there. My decision is what to use as the leader. So the choice is going up this way and making the tree that high, or a more radical solution, which will be to make this a really beautiful small shohin tree and take the center out altogether. Now this is where you must be throwing your hands up in horror and saying, Peter Chan is mad. See what I'm taking off? I'm taking that off. Taking that off. And to make it more dramatic, I think I will use my large loppers. There you are. This is a big boy. Make life a bit easier if I take that middle out. A lot of people, when they take these big branches out, they make gins with it. But I don't like making a gin just for the sake of making a gin. Look at that. Half the tree is taken out. I don't want my money back. Some people ask for money back when they see me do that. I don't want money back. That is done. I may do a little bit of gin. Let's see what it looks like. There's so much more to take out. So the secret is finding the line, which I have now. So I have a choice of that. Maybe have a short branch there. Can you see the tree now? Lovely thick trunk. Look at that. Look at that trunk. Look at that trunk. And these are the branches. I don't need this. I don't like making gin for the sake of making gin. That can be gin at the back, but do I need it? Okay. Probably not. Well, the solution has been found. Once you can find the front or the back of the tree and the leading shoot, the rest is child's play. Child's play in the sense that all you have to now do is wire the tree. All you have to do is wire the tree. What lovely small needles. Look at it. The needles are so compact and small. When we started out in bonsai back in the 1960s and 70s, most people in the UK, all they ever did was grow little dwarf conifers in pots, and they called it bonsai. They just put this in a pot and it's a bonsai. It's quite credible as a bonsai, but they didn't do more than that. Now let me just wire this a little more to give more definition to the tree. I will keep that. I don't need to keep that, but I will keep it. Give it some depth. It may help to thicken the trunk further. Not that it needs much more thickening. So I can wire this and this. See over here, there's a choice of removing this or that. I'll remove that. As I said, the decision to remove and cut is a difficult one for those of you who are starting off in bonsai, but don't despair. The more you practice, the more decision-making processes you come across will reinforce your learning. And once you've wired it, then we make this into a pad like an arrowhead shape. Look at that beautiful tree. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous, stunning. When I get excited, then it means something. it really didn't need much wiring at all. As I did point out earlier, simply by pruning, I could have achieved the shape that I was setting out to achieve. I'm going to give the top a little more definition as well. I hope you are finding wiring a very satisfying process. It's an activity in bonsai which many people are afraid of doing when they're new. But once you get the hang of wiring, it should become second nature. And of course, the world opens out for you. You can literally achieve anything once you understand what wiring can do. Look at these lovely twists and bends I'm creating just by wiring. I will keep some of these younger branches because you never know, I might need it at some point. I thought this would be a very, very difficult tree, but the more I looked at it, the more I realized it wasn't so difficult at all. So what was the crucial part of this design? The most crucial part was really taking out that central stem. Once I took that out, everything else fell into place. Yeah, so we took out, I would say, more than half, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
More than half. I don't really need to do much more, but I will continue doing a little bit more. I won't bother showing you how I repot the tree. I can easily do it now. I may do it as a follow-up program. But now that we're into autumn, I could do it if I wanted to. But the crucial part was really showing you how I took the decisions to create the leader. I think choice of the leader was the most difficult part. But I can assure you, the more you practice, the more you will find it easy. I've left some of these. I could have taken it out, but I'll leave it. Maybe this front one to take out. I don't need this. And I always take the tips out. The growing tips, if you take out, it will force it to bud back. So there you are. Look at that small tree showing with a beautiful, beautiful taper. Beautiful taper all the way up. So I hope you've enjoyed this one. Not too difficult. We sell these. So if you came on one of my workshops, you will get the chance to work on these. So 2 simple projects from nursery material. There you go. All in a few minutes work. So this is the final outcome of that pine that I worked on, the Mugo pine, Mugo gnome, and I potted it up, the bits of root showing, add a little bit to the tree, and hopefully the branches will fill out and the path will fill out. So this was only a few minutes work, so in a few years, can you imagine how nice this tree will be? And while I've got that, let me move this out of the way and put the little Picea. Look at that tree, almost unrecognizable. Such a thick trunk, such a beautiful taper all the way to the top. So I hope I showed you how easy it is to make bonsai from nursery material.